You're listening to Eddie Coric on 2country.net.
Forrest, the inspiration for your songs, when you sit down to write a song, where does that inspiration come from?
I don't really know. It depends on the situation. Most of the time when I come up with something, it just kind of pops into my head. Like, I'll be driving down the road and bam, something will hit me and it's like, oh, that's kind of an interesting idea for a song. And then I'll just sit there and kind of play with it while I'm driving and think about it. And, after a few minutes, if I've got something, then I'll pull off the side of the road and I'll kind of sing it into a voice recorder or into my phone. And that way I've got kind of a work tape. And then when I get to wherever I'm going, if I get home and I have time, then I'll jot it down and I'll, kind of go through it. Sometimes I just wake up in the middle of the night and the whole song is there. I wrote this one song called One George Jones. That whole song was written in about 5 minutes. I just bolted out of bed in the middle of the night. It was there. I was like, what is this One George Jones? I couldn't figure out what it was. It's just One George Jones. So I got up out of bed. I walked into the other room, and I sat down and I just wrote the whole song in literally within 5 minutes. I went back to bed, and I got up the next day, and I went, wow, that's a good song.
Have you recorded it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I recorded it with all the A-Team guys in Nashville. Lloyd Green's playing steel on it, Mike Brignordello on bass, Lonnie Wilson's on drums, Glenn Duncan's on fiddle. I'm doing all the guitars and everything.
Let's talk about your songs. Which song currently means the most to you?
The songs that I've written, there's a couple of them that are really near and dear to me. Higher to Go, that album, my dad wrote all of the songs on that, so I'm really, really close to those songs. I love every one of those songs. But as far as stuff that I've written, I wrote this song with John Bollinger called Do Unto Others, which is a really cool song. And I wrote one with this kid named Jay Taylor and Trevor Lane, and it's called Hello, My Name Is. It's basically about Johnny Cash. The whole song is about Johnny Cash's life. So it's, hello, my name is John. I pick cotton on the fields of my daddy's farm. 8 years old, the day is long. Basket of cotton in my arms. So basically, it goes through when he was 8 years old, and then when he meets June, when he gets his record deal. The main line is, of all the things I've said and done, I kept on chasing the sun. So you don't even know that you're talking about Johnny Cash until the very end of the song. But it's all the little things like his life, like, when he got his record deal with Sam Phillips, and he shook his hand, and in the sun he found his way with Sun Records, and then his wife, June, and then they have a son. And it's an interesting song, and I love that song. It's a very cool one.
A song I really like off the album is that King of Kings.
King of Kings is one of my dad's songs. Obviously, it's a religious, Southern gospel song, but it's one of them chicken picking, everybody can really have fun on it kind of songs. It's a fast train beat, chicken picking type thing. What I did is I got a hold of a bunch of friends. I was going to have a bunch of different artists play on this tribute record, and then I was going to have several more sing on it as well. All of the guys that I got a hold of to sing on it kind of fell out. I got a hold of Nancy Jones to see if George could do it, but he was too sick at the time. I tried to get Marty Stewart on it. He was on tour over here, wasn't going to be back for a while when I was finishing it. Everybody that I tried to get on it just kind of fell apart. So I ended up singing all the songs. But the one thing that I did get is all of the musicians who were friends of mine and friends of my dad's all jumped at the chance to do it. So on that particular song, the guitar kicks off with Johnny Highland. He's playing an acoustic guitar. And then I come in with a guitar part. And then I think J.D. Maness comes in on a pedal steel part. And then Albert Lee comes in playing guitar. On the next go-around, I think it might be John Pettifer from, Rainford, Liverpool area. John's playing guitar, and then Red Volkart does a little pass. So you've got me and Red and Johnny and Albert Lee and all of these great players all playing on the same song. So it's pretty intense. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. And the intro does go on a little bit longer, than radio would probably like, but when you have all these great players, you got to let them play. My favorite song on that album is I Like You, and I'll tell you the story behind that song. I write a lot of film and TV music. There's probably 5 songs on that album that were written specifically for film and TV. That particular song, I had a request from the publishing company out in Los Angeles, 5 Alarm Music. She called me up and she said, do you have anything that sounds like John Prine type songs or maybe a Lyle Lovett type song or something like that? of course I said yes. I wasn't going to say no. I don't want a song in that TV show. So of course I said yes, but I didn't have anything. So I'm like, okay. As soon as I got off the phone with her, I was driving from Nashville back home to my house, which is about a 70-mile drive. So on the way home, I wrote the whole song in my head. I got home, I jotted the lyrics down, and I recorded it. I had a 4-hour window of opportunity. Now, you might not believe this, but that song was written and recorded and mastered in 4 hours, and I played everything on it. So when I got home, I laid down the drum part, I played the bass part, I played the acoustic guitar part in one channel, then there's a second acoustic guitar, and then there's a pedal steel guitar part, which I did a really simple pedal steel pad thing, and then I played the lead guitar part, sang the song. I kind of sang it as if John Prine would have sang it, and I kind of produced it in the sense of like a Lyle Lovett type of acoustic guitar type sound, so that it had a little bit of both of those elements in it. And then I sent it off to Terry Lynn out in L.A., and it was such a cool song afterwards. I played it for my wife, and I played it for a few people, and they were like, I love this song, especially that line about the fish. There's one line in the song, it's, let's go skinny dipping in the middle of the night. While we're in the water, I'll give you a kiss, and I'll feel you rub against me. No, that was just a fish. Just goofy stuff like that, I love that song. That's my favorite one on the record, I think. You'll dig that one. That one's a cool one. Hillbilly City is one that I've done live, and I'll be playing that one for every one of the gigs that I do while I'm over here. That song has been cut by about 3 different people. There's a guy up in Norway that cut it too. I think his name is Captain Kane, and he recorded it with the A-Team. He had Brent Mason on guitar and all those guys. Did a good track on it, but that song's been recorded by several people. The song Beer Truck, the title song on that album, has been recorded numerous times. That was a fun song to write. I was sitting on my front porch. I live in rural Tennessee. I'm out in the sticks. So I'm sitting out there on the front porch and picking my guitar, and a beer truck goes by. I wasn't thinking anything. I'm trying to come up with something to write. So I'm just sitting there out there, nice sunny day. I think I had a Bud Light cracked open, I'm just kicking back. And then a few minutes later, another beer truck drove by. And I'm like, no, that can't be a bad job, driving a beer truck. I was like, oh, there it is. There's the hook. Going to get a new job, something I love. Tired of working all week for a few $100, Can't be hard driving beer all day. Every Friday night I do it anyway, So, yeah, that song just completely flowed out. And then I sandbagged it and I brought it into a writing appointment with a couple other writers. But I pretty much wrote that whole song in, just a few minutes sitting out there on the front porch watching trucks roll by. That's a sunny day.
What's been the most memorable day in your musical career so far?
Probably the most memorable day was the night I met my wife. I met her at one of my gigs. I was playing at a golf course 20-some years ago. That's probably the best night I've ever had.
You've just set the bar really high for us.
Yeah, there's nothing that could compare to that night. I met my wife, and we've been together for 20-some years. And but there's a few different gigs that I've done that have been pretty amazing. I played the Oregon Jamboree with a guy once, and that was the first time I played in front of like 100,000 people. That was crazy. And I've done a few gigs that are just ridiculously big. 3 years ago, I think I was playing with Sunny Sweeney. She had a couple of songs out From a Table Away and stuff like that. And I was just subbing for her guitar player as a friend of mine. He was getting married, and we were playing in downtown Detroit. There must have been 250,000 people. It was insane. I mean, it was more people than I've ever seen. That's a little bit unnerving when you got that many people. But, again, I was just playing backup. I didn't really have to worry about too much. I don't know, man. That's a hard question because it depends on what it is. It could be having just a really great night in a little pub in the middle of nowhere, and you just feel great, and the players are great. Getting to play with Paul Rose. We played at this little place in Newcastle called the Coach Inn, or the New Coach Inn. And it was a little throw-together gig, and me and John Pettifer came over. I said, you've got to meet this guy, Paul Rose. He's such an amazing guitar player. And John Pettifer is an amazing guitar player, too. So, I said, come on, you and Nikki and me, we're gonna drive across, and we're going to go over and meet Paul. So we all sat down there at the Coach Inn, and it was just an absolute blast. We had so much fun. Things like that are real high points. I'll never forget that.